Hi, I'm Brett Peterson, the Business Rogue. Today we're going to go through 14 ideas for businesses you can start in the week of August 8th, 2020. For each business, we'll give you a product or service, some potential customers, and why the idea or product or service is important. Hopefully this will inspire you and make it easier for you to see new business opportunities, new small business opportunities, and help you come up with an idea for your own small business. Let's get started. 1. DragonNestTruffles.com. So the idea is dark chocolate truffles that have chili pepper and hot sauce type of heat inside of them. Your potential customers are people who really love dark chocolate. Let me explain why. Dark chocolate is like milk chocolate, but it has a much higher cacao rating. So people who really like dark chocolate love that intensity of flavor, right? That they're okay with the bitterness of cacao, but they want that intensity. That bitter cacao and the spice and bitterness of the hot sauce actually worked well together pretty well. So again, you've seen it in Lindt chocolate bars already. They have chili pepper bars, but the chili pepper in those bars is really, frankly, weak sauce. It's not particularly intense. It's like kind of a wisp of flavor. Give dark chocolate lovers really spicy truffles, so filled chocolates. DragonsNestTruffles.com. 2. EndlessChaseOutdoors.com. Your service for this one is to set up treasure hunts for people to go do with their families in a metropolitan area, probably. Your customers are families, especially of middle school age children, 9 to 13-year-old age group. That age group is actually a little bit tough in terms of finding activities. The children aren't independent enough to do things on their own, but they're too cool for the things that little kids do, right? So you can target some activities to that bracket for families and children to do together in a fun way. What you're doing here is burying little boxes of treasures and then leaving clues for people to find and hunt their way through. You make it a puzzle, like a mystery hunt and find kind of thing. And the whole family can participate. What's important about this, why this is cool, is parents can set up this kind of thing on their own, but then they don't get to have the fun of actually exploring it with their kids. So what you're selling is joint exploration between parents and children. And that's pretty powerful as an emotion. You could also sell it to couples and have this be a couples date event, right? I've actually seen some things like this occasionally do very, very well. But the market isn't saturated, and especially I haven't seen it pitched to parents of young children, right? Of children, again, 8 to 13, 8 to 14. So, treasure hunts for parents and families. EndlessChaseOutdoors.com. Number 3, FairyRingSpores.com. A fairy ring is a ring of mushrooms that grow. There's mushrooms, actually the part of mushrooms that matters is the part you don't ever see. It's this fungus thing called a myconium that lives underground. Your product, in this case, are mushroom starter kits. Now there are mushroom starters already out on the market, but there aren't mushroom starters for rare and kind of interesting types of mushrooms. I haven't seen morel starter kits, for example. I haven't seen king bullet mushroom starter kits. Cultivate your myconium, and then have pieces of those spores that you put into boxes that you can ship out to customers so people can grow their own mushrooms of that type. Your customers are people who love to eat mushrooms, anybody interested in mycology. There's actually a small but growing niche of, mushroom gardeners. You're selling specialty mushroom kits to people who want to grow and eat specialty mushrooms. FairyRingSpores.com. 4. HospitalVirtualTours.com. So when someone's pregnant, they often want to go see the maternity ward of the hospital that they are going to give birth at. This is very wonderful, but very stressful time in a young mother's life, especially a first-time mother's life. And so having that tour through the hospital really helps. However, with pandemic and all kinds of stuff about infectious diseases going on now, having healthy people come into a place full of people being treated for illness is not as popular as it once was, right? So you can provide a service to hospitals to digitally scan the hospital and provide a virtual tour, a 3D virtual tour. There are 3D cameras you can get that will take an image all the way around. They're not particularly expensive. We're probably talking, I think when I checked last, the $200 range. I think Ricoh sells one, but there are other ones now too. Use those cameras, record video, do a tour of the maternity ward for the hospital so that those tours can be done online rather than in person where infectious disease is a problem. So you're selling virtual tours, you're making virtual tours for hospitals so that they can show them to expectant mothers. HospitalVirtualTours.com. 5. LadyCollege.com. This is a series of education courses online, almost like a school, by women and for women. Your target customers here are women between the ages of 18 and 35. Like you, I welcome and cheer on all of the new opportunities that have come to women professionally and socially over the past 100 years. It's a wonderful thing. However, there's an opportunity cost. When you choose to take AP Physics, you may not have time for home economics, right? As a result, the home arts are rising as a market and as a niche among young adult women and younger women, right? So millennials and the generation following them. So what you're teaching, what you provide in this school, are classes on sewing, both alterations and making new clothing, right? Clothing of your own. Hosting dinner parties, how to host and plan events, formal events, informal events, how to be a good host or hostess. Interior decorating. Cooking, both everyday and formal. How do you prepare your standard meals for the week? How do you have a healthy diet? And then also, how do you do a wonderful Christmas dinner or a Thanksgiving dinner, right? And carry that off successfully. Quilting, crocheting, knitting, all of these types of skills that were traditionally feminine skills 100 years ago. Many women did not learn from their parents when they were young, now want as adults. So they can be self-sufficient, so they can enjoy them. They're often very fun hobbies and activities. Just to clarify, you don't have to only let women in. If you want to have men in the class too, that's fine. And you might choose a different domain name. But the idea is still home arts classes for professional women between the ages of 18 and 35. ladycollege.com. Number 6, militarypups.com. This is a service to help move animals from one deployment to another for active duty military personnel. So your customers are active duty military families, especially those who are here in the States and about to be transitioned to another assignment, or who are about to be sent overseas to overseas American military bases. You can do this with other countries too, with other militaries, if they have an international presence. That works just fine. So the reason this is important is it is incredibly difficult to move and acclimatize pets and to handle all of the legal paperwork it takes to move animals around the world. So in Australia, for example, there's a 2 or 3 week, maybe longer, quarantine period for any animal brought outside of Australia into Australia. You cover that hassle, right? You provide the service, get good at working through the paperwork, figuring out where the American bases are, what the paperwork is to move a dog between each of them, how long the quarantines are, find partners you can work with that can hold that dog in quarantine, right? They're humane and treat the dogs well. You can do this with cats as well. Yeah, any kind of pet. But you're providing a service to help military families move their pets with them from deployment to deployment. militarypups.com. Number 7, mindyourpets.com. Still in the pets theme, the products and services you're providing with this are tracking and security devices, probably offered as a subscription, for pet owners who really want to make sure their pets are okay. So you can offer small security cameras on collars, for example. So you can log in remotely to the pet and see where they are, see what they're seeing, right? You can offer geo-tracking services, again, in the collar, that let people see. You can pull up on your phone, maybe with an app, you can pull up with your phone and say, Fluffy is two houses over. Don't worry about it, ma'am. He's still pretty close by. If you want to go check, here's what his video feed looks like. It looks like he's safe, right? Offer this as a subscription service, just like home security is done now, right? You have a monitoring service where for $10 a month or $5 a month, you make sure Fido is tracked and that you can check in on him as necessary. mindyourpets.com. Number 8, modestbydesign.com. So your target demographic, again, probably women between the ages of, I would say 16 on this one. You might go a little young, 16 to about 55 or 60. The reason this is important is that high fashion often involves showing a lot of skin. But if you're a person of faith, again, a Christian or a Muslim woman or a Jewish woman, an Orthodox Jewish woman especially, you may not want to show a lot of your body due to religious reasons, right? There are also other women who want to be very modest, who want to be fully clothed, who also want to look good, right? Everyone wants to be well dressed. So design and sell modest clothing to religious women in this market. If you have an interest in fashion design, or if you have an eye for successful fashion designers and you want to be the publisher, the person who compiles all those designs and sells them in one place, you can sell through this demographic through interfaith councils, right? There are women's faith organizations, there are women's interfaith organizations. There are usually conferences for Christian women, for example. There are conferences for Christian women that you could advertise in or sell at. I'm sure there are for Muslims and Jews as well, and for other faith traditions too that I'm not as familiar with. modestbydesign.com. Number 9, mushroomwoman.com. So the idea for this one is actually a mushroom hunting business. A lot of restaurants previously, but again when they open, after all of the lockdown stuff is taken care of, use wild mushrooms in their recipes. Remember how we talked earlier about how there are lots of specialty edible mushrooms that aren't grown or aren't cultivated very often? Those specialty mushrooms still show up in restaurant menus because there are groups of people who go hunt wild mushrooms. If you like working outdoors, this could be an option for you. There's a book that covers this called The Mushroom Hunters by Langdon Cook. Came out about 5 to 10 years ago. It's not by Neil Gaiman, so if you see Neil Gaiman's poem, that's not going to help you here. You're looking for the book, The Mushroom Hunters by Langdon Cook. I'm not affiliated, I just like the book. Your customers here are restaurants who have wild mushrooms on their menu. Look up, get a route, get places where you know you can find wild mushrooms, and then bring those to restaurants and sell them. Mushroomwoman.com. Number 10, orchidempire.com. The product you're providing are living orchid sprouts, little orchids that people can grow on their own, and you're providing them as a subscription. Your target customers are people who like orchids, who try growing orchids, and who fail at growing orchids. In my experience, that's 98% of people who try to grow orchids. Orchids are notoriously difficult to keep alive, right? They are super finicky, you breathe on them wrong, and they die. And most of the time, you don't water them with a watering pitcher. You put ice cubes around the thing, and if you put too many, they freeze. If you put too few, they dehydrate. They are finicky, tricky things to keep alive. Orchids. They're beautiful little flowers. They're a pain in the neck. So, if you are good at growing orchids, you can make that a business. For all of the rest of us who love orchids but can't keep them alive, ship them to us every quarter. We all know we're going to kill the orchid in the first quarter, right? It's an accepted fact. I'll keep trying until it works. It will probably take me 200 years. So in that time, you can sell me 400 orchids, one every quarter. Every 3 months, that's as long as I can keep them going. Anyway, so it's orchids on a subscription service for frustrated orchid growers. orchidempire.com. Number 11, pawsignature.com. We're back to pet parents as customers. The service you're providing are paw imprints and paw prints of cats and dogs, pets, for people when they're small and then as they grow older, right? Lots of people have imprints of small children's hands in clay or pottery. So you're selling paw prints to pet owners of their pets as mementos and keepsakes of this pet when it was small and this pet as it's grown. pawsignature.com. Number 12, precisiongifting.com. The service you're providing here is helping people pick the right gifts for their loved ones, their parents, their spouses, their significant others, their friends, whoever. People who are hard to shop for. First, you can just be a paid shopper, right? If you want to do this as a consulting gig, you have people give you information, what they know about the person, and you ask probing questions and help them pick out the right gift. The more kind of scalable way to do this is to write computer software that scrapes or goes out and looks at a person's social media accounts, and then from there, the computer figures out potential gifts. This is kind of what Amazon does, but Amazon doesn't necessarily have all of that information from social media. You can get it, there's ways you can get a hold of that information though. If someone is asking you for it, you don't have to get all of Facebook's information. You just have to get information from all the different social media sites on the person that your customer is paying you to go figure out a gift for, right? So it's a very targeted scrape of information from social media to help figure out what could a potential gift be. Let me give you an example how that would go. If you looked at my social media, you might see, oh, Brett likes learning about the Civil War, and he also is interested in blow-up balloons for his kids, and he's interested in bendable balloons for his kids, and he's interested in ships of the line from the British Royal Navy in the 1800s, and also in Jules Verne's The Mysterious Island. Okay, that's another book that starts out with a balloon flight. So the computer sees all that stuff, chugs it through, and says, okay, so something about balloons. Is there anything that mixes ships and 1800s and balloons together? Well, there's this book about making balloon animals into the shape of sailing ships. Maybe that's something you're interested in. And actually, yeah, I kind of would. That'd be kind of fun. I'd make those with my kids. Your targeted customers are really probably young professionals, again, between the ages of 18 and 35. Probably leaning closer to 25 to 35. That target market, Henry, high earners, not rich yet, right, is probably the people you're going for. And you're selling them precision gifting. Precisiongifting.com. Number 13, premiumcorset.com. So corsets are shaping underwear. They're undergarments that help your body, especially your torso, but your whole body, look the best, right? Be shaped the way you want it to be shaped. Your target customers are women who are active, who normally are active and fit, but have not been able to be as active and fit during this past 6 months with all the lockdowns and pandemics and everything. Could do men too, but let's just focus on women for this one because corset is usually nowadays considered a woman's item, right? A woman's piece of clothing. Originally they were for men and women too, but that's fine. One problem with current body shaping underwear is the activewear body shaping underwear doesn't appear to provide a lot of support. It looks kind of like the spandex from the 80s, frankly. A little bit more fashionable, but not particularly effective at shaping the body and holding the body in place as you're working out, as you're running and jogging and biking and doing yoga and whatever. So there's a fashion opportunity here to make better activewear shaping underwear. You don't have to limit yourself to that though. If you're into fashion design or have an eye for that kind of thing, you can make shaping underwear for whatever lifestyle niche, but pick one to start with. Maybe it's professional. Maybe it's body shaping underwear under professional attire, right? Under a pantsuit or under a suit. Pick one niche, focus on it, probably selling to women, again, professional women between the ages of, I would say on this one, 30 and 45. Premiumcorset.com. Number 14, last but not least, sailboatworks.com. Your service is all the prep work that it takes to put a boat away for the winter and to pull a boat out of storage from the winter. Your customers are boat owners on rivers and lakes and perhaps on the ocean. The worst part about owning a boat is getting it ready for the season every year in the spring, taking it out of dry dock, making sure it hasn't rotted, making sure it's in good repair. That's a lot of work and it's not fun. And the second worst part about owning a boat is getting it ready for winter. So cleaning it off and cleaning it out and making sure it's pristine so it won't rot over the winter. You can provide the service to take that hassle away. And boat owners will probably pay you for that service. So if you live near a marina, if you live near a dock, if you live near a lake, if you live near a river even that people like to go boating on, provide a service about taking care of people's boats for them so they can have all the fun of going on a boat and none of the hassle. Sailboatworks.com. Thanks for watching. If you made it thus far, please comment on the video and tell us which of these ideas you like best, which of these are absolutely crazy, which ones of these are terrible, which ones of these are great. Let us know. Let us know your thoughts and opinions. Also, if you like these, please hit the subscription button. Just here-ish somewhere. Hit the button and hit the notification bell as well. That way when we come out with these, you can see them in time to go look at these websites if you want to buy one of them, to go place a bid for them before the auctions end. All of these websites, if you want to purchase one of them to start one of these businesses, are available on namejet.com. But the auctions end on the night of August 7th at 9 p.m. Pacific time. So again, August 7th, 9 p.m. Pacific time at namejet.com. Link in the description. If you watched with us thus far, hopefully these gave you some options, some inspiration to figure out some new business ideas. Good luck starting that business. Till then, we'll see you next time.